time. You are a disciple of what's called the Austrian School of Economics. What is that, briefly? And what would economists like Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich Hayek, who were two of the leaders of the Austrian School of Economics, what would they say is the right way to deal with boosting the economy now and with dealing with our national debt?
Well, they asked Mises that one time. They were having runaway inflation in Austria. It's Austrian economics because the main leaders of the school came. They escaped. They were mostly Jewish, and they came over here to escape Nazism. And they asked him once, at the height of a crisis like this, and there was a bit more inflation, and they said to Mises, what would you do? And he said, I'd resign. In other words, take your hands off of it. Let the people take care of it. Let the people who have lived beyond their means, let them go bankrupt. Let the liquidation occur. Get rid of the malinvestment like we did in 1921. We recovered. It's not even hardly in our textbook about the Depression of 1921, which was a natural consequence of the inflation for World War I. So we want our hands off. The Depression lasted 17 years because we wouldn't do that. Japan has had hands-on. They've been in the doldrums for 20 years. So, and we're now into this one. It's a lot more than 5 years. We're basically been over 10 years that our economy has been slipping. So they would say, hands off, give us a sound currency, free up the markets, property rights, enforce contracts, make sure people go bankrupt when they're bankrupt, and don't bail out their buddies. Don't let the Federal Reserve create money out of thin air and bail out their buddies. But the most important thing about Austrian economics is the artificially low interest rates, which cause business people, savers, and consumers to do the wrong things. They make mistakes. So it's sort of like a price control that causes all the problems.
And Congressman, we have less than a minute left. Fed Chairman Bernanke announced this week that he is not going to take any immediate action to boost the economy. Do you think that your criticism, which is now being echoed by some other Republicans, both in the presidential race and in Congress, do you think your criticism may have led him to pull back?
Well, he really hasn't pulled back. Symbolically, he has, and he's not having another QE3. But he has maintained that he will keep interest rates low for up until 2013. He can't keep interest rates low without monetizing debt, because if somebody else doesn't buy it, he has to buy it. So he's continuously quantitatively easing. So Greenspan did that when he held interest rates too low, too long, and he was instrumental in creating the bubble. So it is not a big change in things. He at least, but he sort of said, oh, it's up to the Congress. You know, if the Congress, it's all Congress's fault. They need to deal with this, because he's sort of throwing up his hands. But all he needs to do is quit monetizing debt. Interest rates would go up and Congress would be forced to cut. That is why gold backing a currency, a gold standard, restrains big government. Governments can't spend endlessly for entitlements, and they can't spend by deficit financing to fight these endless wars.
Congressman Paul, we're going to have to leave it there. We want to thank you so much for joining us.